Welcome, guys, to the Unfiltered Thought podcast with the amazing soul. I'm really glad that you guys can join me here today. I truly appreciate that, you guys are tuning in. Before we start, we will do our beautiful ritual or routine, if you're going to call it that, by taking a 30-second silence and giving ourselves a big warm hug. Alrighty, let's get into it. Episode 6, forgiveness and compassion. This topic right here is something that most of us struggle with. And also myself, I did struggle with forgiveness and compassion for over 30 years of my life. And I'm currently 33. So, yeah. You see, when we hear forgiveness, people genuinely feel that forgiveness is for the next person. No, we have it all wrong, twisted. Forgiveness is actually for you. It's benefiting you, not that person. So picture this. I want you to imagine a thick rope with thorns on it. I mean, very sharp thorns. And imagine you holding and grabbing that thorn with the rope so tightly. While you're still imagining that, as you're grabbing that, blood is dripping that and you're hurting yourself. That's what you do when you hold on and you do not embrace forgiveness. You're not hurting that person, you're hurting yourself. We got to get to a space where we have to realize that the moment we truly forgive from our heart space, we are freeing and letting go things that don't serve us. We are freeing that energy so that we can start to feel lighter. But most importantly, the person who benefits from forgiveness is yourself. I'll share with you a story of how forgiveness can transform your life, because it genuinely transformed my life. If you've been following me up until this point, I shared a bit of a background story of how I was a very angry kid. That was in the first episode, I believe. And for a very long time, I didn't realize that, well, until my 30s, that anger is a natural human emotion. Because growing up as a kid, I did not see a space, I didn't see anyone that reflected expressing human emotions in front of me. So what I did was I suppressed it. I suppressed that anger for almost 30 years, and that anger turned into rage. And that rage turned into excruciating lower back and physical body pain for over 30 years. I was very angry at my parents. That's the truth. I felt like they abandoned me. I felt like, it was their fault why my life turned out the way it turned out. And now that I'm way past that space, they did the best they could. Amazing people. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad. They just did and showed up as they could. They provided for me. But on my journey for a very long time, I felt very entitled. Most of us do. The only job, I know this might sound very crude, what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. The only job your parents got to do is to bring you to earth. 2 episodes before this, I said life is a DIY project. Honestly, if your parents bring you or birth you into earth, that's all they got to do. Every other thing's an added thing. I realized that the hard way. No one ultimately owes you anything. You design your life by the habits you keep. I'll say that again. Your life is designed by the habits you keep. So back to me blaming my parents for how my life is. You see how I'm not taking accountability and responsibility like I wasn't? Forgiveness. The moment I started to realize these patterns I was creating for myself, I realized that I was holding energy and I was holding this burden, this mountain for so long. It was so heavy, I had to let go. And the moment I let go, there was this heave, a sigh of relief that left my body when I genuinely forgave from my heart space. There's this Chinese quote. A man who blames everyone has a very, very long way to go on his journey. I did that for 30 years. A man who blames himself is halfway there. I also did that. But ultimately, I realized a man who blames no one has already arrived because there's no one to blame. My parents weren't at fault. I stopped pointing fingers at myself and realized that it just is. It wasn't good. Whatever I went through wasn't good or bad. It was just is. But until I got to a space to forgive myself and let go, that's when my life transformed. That is when the anger of a 7-year-old that turned into rage and 20 years of physical body pain was able to heal itself because I chose to forgive myself. I didn't blame my parents anymore because they didn't do anything. I don't know who you're holding a grudge against or, who you're angry at. I'll tell you this right now. It's not even worth it. It's time to let that go. Let it go. It's not a burden you want to carry. Forgiveness and compassion go hand in hand. The moment I was able to start to truly forgive myself, I realized I didn't even do anything wrong or right in the first place. I was able to start to show compassion to anyone who came into my life. Started with my parents. I realized that, stuff was passed on from their parents to them. There was no awareness. You can't blame them for that. There was no one to blame for that. But I had to get past that victim mindset in my life to even see that pattern. Once you can start to truly forgive, compassion comes easily. And this is not empathy. There's a slight difference between empathy and compassion. And I'll tell you what it is. Empathy is somebody walks to me, or somebody walks into this room rather, and the person starts to cry, like literally breaks down, like, oh my God, like I'm having a horrible day. Empathy will be, I feel that person's emotion and I start to cry with them. So I was here energy wise before they came into the room, and they start to cry. I feel their emotion. Obviously I'm human, and I drop down to their level. And we both stay there and look like, it's a bad day. Life is bad. That is empathy. Compassion is another human being walks into this room. They're crying, having a bad day. I become aware that they are having a bad day, which is also a part of me. And they're crying. I observe it. I show them kindness. But I'm here energy wise, I'm able to bring them to this level with me and tell them that bad days, it's okay to have bad days. Give them a hug, still feel that human connection, but I don't drown both of us together from energy wise from where that person is coming from. To experience compassion, you have to truly forgive yourself. Most of us on our journey, we feel very drained because we feel like we give so much to our family members, our partners, our kids. But shifting your perception and seeing that the more you give from an empty cup, you won't have anything to give anymore. Ultimately. So the first thing you got to do is anchor yourself. So what most people do, and the reason why, anchoring yourself can be challenging is because you have to give yourself unconditional love. So if you're a parent, check this out. Unconditional love can be challenging to give if you haven't given that to yourself. You can't give that to your kid if you don't love all parts of yourself unconditionally. So that's why forgiveness to yourself and showing yourself daily compassion is very essential so that you can pour from an overflowing cup to your children, to your partner, to your family members. Because anybody you try to put on your ship will drown with you. That's what empathy is. You got to anchor yourself first. So whoever comes on your ship can sail smoothly on the ocean. Baby steps. It's okay if you're having a hard time forgiving people who hurt you. I'm not dismissing what they did or did not do. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just making you realize it's not worth that burden. Because you deserve a life of fun. You deserve a life of play. You deserve a life of love. But you have to find that courage within you to let it go. Let it go. I know they hurt you. I know. But the moment you start to go within and start to forgive yourself, love yourself unconditionally, you will start to realize that it's just a human experience, and we're here to experience different ranges of emotion, from happy to sad to anger to rage. We're here to experience everything. But you have to be willing to open your heart to everything. The more you open your heart, open yourself to everything, things are able to flow through you. Emotions are able to flow through you. You're not going to be happy all day or all week or all year. No, that's an illusion. Sometimes I get upset. I just become aware that I'm sad and angry because I'm an emotional being. That's what we're meant to do, feel emotions. Happiness is just one spectrum of myriads of emotions that exist. Most of us are giving from an empty cup. That's why we snap at people, we react. We snap our kids, we snap our family members. We're always on the edge. How do you even navigate this forgiveness and compassion I talked to you about? I always tie every episode to feelings and emotion. I swear to God, guys. That's the only way. I'm not going to come here and sugarcoat anything to you. You got to be willing to feel. You see that little fun exercise we do at the beginning of each episode is a beautiful way to start to forgive yourself. I mean, truly hugging yourself. It doesn't cost you anything. 30 seconds every day or every few hours, if you remember. What you're consciously doing, without you even trying, in a fun way, is pouring back love into yourself. I know it sounds very little, but the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Begin from there. Forgiveness and compassion starts with total acceptance. Just accept your life for what it is right now in this moment. That's how you transform it. That's how you start to feel this compassion for every human being you interact with, regardless of how they show up, because that's ultimately you. I genuinely feel like the more and more of us start to open our hearts, start to forgive ourselves, start to show ourselves compassion, we can definitely, I genuinely feel this, we can shift the narrative and be more kind to one another. And just be humans, because that's what we are. Human beings having an emotional experience. But you can't even see that if you don't forgive yourself. You see where I'm coming? Forgiveness and compassion will literally transform every aspect of your life. Literally. It's the simple things of life. But as human beings, it's very complicated to be simple. Because what it is for more than half of our life, we have created a healthy ego. A construct. Of how things should be, of how life should go. Then the other half is realizing, oh wait, holy shit. I gotta unlearn everything that I learned. And that's the fun part. It's a journey. Embrace it. Never stop showing yourself compassion, forgiveness. You see, the more you tap into that energy of forgiveness and compassion, loving your partner, loving your family members comes with ease. Because life is very reflective, right? It's a mirror. That is ultimately you. So when next you in front of a mirror, I want you to wave. Now, when you wave, the mirror waves back at you, right? So when you show up every day and you're grouchy and you're holding on to things, you don't want to forgive, you don't want to show compassion, that's exactly what life is going to throw back at you. So when I tell you forgiveness and compassion, it ultimately benefits you and no one else. That right there is the truth. Show up for yourself as you want the world to show up for you. You got it in you. Start from the little things. Pause this video and give yourself a big warm hug and see how your body responds to it. Never stop showing yourself forgiveness and compassion. Until next time, my friend. Love, love, love.